A person can take every single precaution. A person can always wash his hands and wear the mask and don't go anywhere and still be afflicted with the virus. Another person can walk to the very epicenter without any protection and nothing happens to him. Dear Muslims, the entire world is talking about this potential plague, this coronavirus that is taking place. And so I thought that inshallah in today's khutbah, let us look at some of the wisdoms we can derive, some of the morals and lessons that we can learn from what we see around us. For the believer always looks at the wisdom. The believer always tries to derive benefit from every single aspect around him. And today's khutbah, inshallah ta'ala, I will summarize 7 benefits and 7 lessons that all of us can learn from what is going on around us. The first of these 7, to make us humble and to realize that none of us is powerful and only Allah Azza wa Jal is all powerful. No human is superhuman. No human is almighty. All of us are under the control of a powerful Rabb. Look at this virus, the largest country in the world in terms of population, and that is China. The most powerful country in the history of humanity, and that is our country, America. All over the world, all nations, mighty and weak. The entire human race is in terror. Doesn't matter where they're from. And what are they terrified at? They're terrified at the smallest of the small. They're terrified at something that is a manifestation of life. In fact, scientists even wonder, is the virus technically alive or is it something between life and death? And the virus is the smallest manifestation of any creation. It is around 20 to 30 nanometers in length. To even look at it, we cannot even look at it with a normal microscope. We only can see it from a special type of microscope called an electron microscope. And the electron microscope does not bounce light off of the object. It bounces electrons off of the object. And to give you an idea of how small this virus is, to give you an idea of what is causing all of mankind to be terrified at something so minuscule, just to see this virus, we need to magnify it at least 100,000 times. Now to put that in perspective, to give you an idea, if we were to take a grain of rice, just a rice seed, if we were to take a grain of rice and expand it 100,000 times, that grain of rice would be as large as 5 or 6 football fields. This is just to see the virus. You have to expand it 100,000 times. From this virus, all of us, mankind, are terrified. What does this show us? That there is indeed a Rabb. That despite all of our technology, despite all that we have come, we are not masters of our own destiny. We do not even control our own lives, much less the lives of others. How can we not humble ourselves in front of Subhan al-Khaliq, the one who creates everything, the one whom Allah Azza wa Jal mentions in the Quran about Himself, وَيَخْلُقُ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. He creates that which you cannot even know, you do not even understand. That is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So the first of these lessons is to make us realize there is a Rabb, and the Rabb is in charge of us. The second of the 7 lessons that we can benefit from is to appreciate that life and death are real. Why? Because all too often we ignore death. All too often we become so comfortable in this dunya. We start living the life. We start enjoying the material pleasures. We become complacent of the riches that we have. We become engrossed to such an extent that we become heedless that this dunya is not the end all and be all. And these types of calamities, these types of tragedies, it is a wake-up call that no one lives forever. وَمَا جَعَلْنَا لِبَشَرٍ مِّن قَبْلِكَ الْخُلْدِ. No human has been given immortality. Every one of us dies. إِنَّكَ مَيِّتٌ وَإِنَّهُمْ مَيِّتُونَ كُلُّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ. Every single soul shall die. Just because we ignore it, just because we don't think about it, it does not change the reality of life and death. الَّذِي خَلَقَ الْمَوْتَ وَالْحَيَاةَ. Allah is the one who created death and He created life. When these plagues come and when death surrounds us, we become more cognizant. Our hearts that might have been hard become soft. Our minds who only think of the dunya, we start thinking of the akhirah. And if this type of calamity makes our hearts that were hard soft, then this is a blessing and not a calamity. If this calamity wakes us up from the slumber of the dunya and makes us realize that all of life is temporary, then it is wallahi not a calamity, but it is a blessing in disguise. This is the second benefit we gain from our mortality. Life is not permanent. Death is around the corner. As Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu said, every single day we all wake up and death is closer to us than our shoe strap that is on our toe. Our death is closer to us. Every day we wake up and we do not know when we are going to die. So these types of calamities rub the point home that life is not eternal and only Allah Azza wa Jal knows when we are going to die. The third blessing we can see, the wisdom that we can extract from what we see around us, is the notion that some people are better than others. And the fact that this virus attacks all of humanity equally. It really shows us the foolishness of the superiority complex, the foolishness of racism, the foolishness of thinking my race, my people, my nation state is better than anyone else. No, this virus is attacking all of humanity equally, all classes, the rich and the poor, all ethnicities, the white and the black and the yellow and the brown, all socioeconomic privileges gone. Every single human is equally human. كلكم من آدم وآدم من تراب. Anybody who feels that because I have a certain background, or because my bank account has more, or because my nationality, because my passport, because my irq and my tribe and whatnot, all of this is thrown in the dust. Every one of us, our blood cells are exactly the same. We are all equally human, and all illusions that we create of superiority, of differences between us, all of this is shown to be foolish. And the message of Islam, that the only thing that really separates us is in the eyes of Allah, and that is through taqwa. In this world, we are all equally human. And so, this virus and the scare that it is generating, in fact, should make us realize the truth of our religion of Islam when it tells us that every one of us is equally human. All of us have come from the same origin, and our end result will be exactly the same. There is a beautiful nukta, or just an anecdote, and Allah knows if it's authentic or not, that is mentioned in our books of history, that once there was a tyrannical king. He was torturing, scholars and righteous people, and he was mocking a scholar in front of him. And as he was mocking, some flies came and irritated him, and he swatted these flies away, and he said, "Tell me, O alim, what is the wisdom of Allah creating flies? Flies are always pesky. Flies are always a nuisance." And so this alim responded, Allah Azza wa Jal is using flies to humble the arrogant of His creation like you. The wisdom of having flies is to show you, O king, that you are still a human like I am. So this is what we see here, that this virus does not differentiate between prime minister. There was a minister of some country fell sick, and between peasant, between rich, between poor, between white, between black. Every one of us is equally affected because we are one in our humanity.